Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter, and I'm joined as always by Pinkava.
Hello.
Hi, Anne. And I think we're going to start off with our knitting news. I think Anne even has a completed project, so woohoo.
I do. And I actually, it needs to be shipped today, so brought it for the class. Um, I've actually been knitting for money, as I have said, making all of these Phoenix Wright hats. So woohoo!
Cool.
It's another one.
Another one. Hey, it's good.
I know. Have I actually worn one of these, like how they're supposed to be worn on the show?
I don't think so.
Because they do have the little corners, and I do believe which of the certain woman's hat.
They are reminiscent of that.
They are, but that is also accurate to the video game. So I do what I must for
and
my
it's
craft.
blue. It's not really like it's
it's also, it says Papa, so it can't be mistaken.
Why does it say Papa?
Because it says Papa in the video game.
Okay.
So it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
When you go to recreate something else,
that's how it is.
Like, yeah. And this one was made specifically for someone who could not have any non-natural fibers. Excuse my fluffy hair. But yeah, so it is what it is. It's fluffy, it's lovely. It's superwash merino, so super nice.
Nice.
I think it's Cascade. But yeah, it's a good hat. Woohoo. And
I like it.
Immediately I've started another one in the normal yarn that I use for it, which is a little bit nylon, which is why I couldn't work. But yeah, this is like the fourth one that I've sold in like 2 months. So, which may not sound like as much, but when it takes like 7 hours to make one of these, and I'm just like, I'm selling them as fast as I'm making them.
Yeah.
Like I'll put an ad out and it'll be sold within the week, sort of a thing, which is uncommon for my stuff.
That's not bad. Hey, if you're getting extra traffic,
yeah,
take it. Don't ask questions, just take it.
Exactly, which is also really funny because I do my political knitting, of course, but like the people who are buying, there's people from this show definitely who are buying my hat patterns and stuff, but then there's people who kind of find my hat patterns out in the wild. Woohoo. But the people who buy my nerd hats are entirely different demographic, and it's hilarious to me that not that they can't all be one and the same, but that you'll look at other things that they've liked on Etsy, and it's like, yeah, these are not the conservative ladies who are following us here. Yeah, it cracks me up. And Etsy sent me a notification saying that I am on the way to be one of their star sellers, that they're going to put purple star, the blue check mark of Etsy. And I'm like, if I get that won't last long.
Yeah, a lot of people are really not interested in that purple star thing because Etsy is already really hard on its vendors.
Oh, it's not
put a lot of pressure on vendors to offer free shipping and stuff, and there's a lot of concern in a small business group I'm in where they're like, it's just going to put more pressure on for us to jump through the hoops for Etsy, and is it going to be worth it?
Oh yeah, I will again entirely admit that Etsy is not kind to its vendors, fees and everything else, but also the trade-off of, well, I'm too lazy to switch. And also there are certain people who find me on Etsy who wouldn't find me anywhere else. Should I shift my market to somewhere else? Yes. But that Etsy is bad to conservatives. Well, Shopify is bad to conservatives. So I know a lot of people have moved from Etsy to Shopify. So, and then there's Galilee Life, which I haven't sat down and put everything on yet. but it's a
And I love
process.
daily life, but it doesn't get the traffic that a place like Etsy does. So it's difficult when you're trying to earn money doing this. But I'm going to throw this out there. Anne and I have been talking about possibly doing a politically incorrect knitters website at some point in the future. And I think that that would help us, the two of us especially, get our patterns out there to a bigger audience, because if we have our own website, then people can find us, and it's going to be, yeah, we're going to have more info coming. Anne and I have some new ideas that we're talking about.
Right.
Because we like doing this for you guys, but there's a lot to it. So
There is. It's
I dropped my
a
pencil.
bit. And as you may have noticed before, I mean, you are much better at getting stuff together than I am. I'm sitting there and it takes me, you'll put out patterns promptly. I'll be like, yeah, I'm still tweaking it, maybe sometime.
Well, the
And
difference
then-
is that I have a support staff. I have two people that work for me. I don't think you can really call it working for me, but it's my parents and they help me do a lot of stuff. So, but if I didn't have that, if I had to do all the Etsy listings and stuff, my stepdad, not Etsy, if I had to do all the uploads to Galley Life and everything, I wouldn't have gotten my store up and running. My stepdad did everything for me,
which is incredibly
most
nice.
everything about it to get that store up. So it just is different. It's a different situation.
Yeah, it's a big process. And like you said, talking about doing our website, doing other things to, sort of help and expand this channel and stuff like that. That's like, we're pitching a lot of ideas, but it's also, okay, what's the time frame? Which direction we're going to go? What are we going to, so lots of discussion. It's fun though.
Yep. I am hopeful that we will have something for the last quarter of the year, something new. We're working on it.
We got plans.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you were making Papa hats.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got? Is that all you got this week?
That's all I got, because as I texted, I haven't been knitting for the last half of this week, because as I texted you, I cut my thumb. If you ever think to yourself, hey, I want to cut the top tip of my finger off, I'd recommend against it.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, really bad plan. But yeah, I got the bit of my nail in there, so I don't want to catch it on anything because it's sensitive.
Oh, I bet that hurts.
Yeah, but I knit a bit this morning and it was fine. So we should
Take it slow.
Yeah, it's stupid, but when you're doing handcrafts and stuff, that just a little bit is kind of a plan.
When I cut my thumb, it was like an inch long on the out of my thumb. Man, I couldn't do anything for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of commission. But so
Yes.
I'm working on this hat. It currently says 1. So that's cool.
Yes, who did?
and obviously the top is going to say Trump. And this is an order I had. And there's my mom's finishing up the God Bless America hat in that order. And then we have to make a Stop the Steal hat. So that's happening. And I think I'm going to record, possibly today, if I can get my act together, a tutorial for doing color work using this hat pattern. Just because I happen to be working on it. And once I get up to the Trump part, there's a couple of sections that show what you do very nicely, and I think it should work out well. So hopefully that'll be coming. I'm working on that. And then this is something I've been working on, I don't know, for like over a month now. It is green. I think I got this yarn from an Etsy shop a while ago. It's not anybody I know, but it's just a tonal like green, and it's a 2x2 rib. Mm-hmm. And it's actually for the man who owns the Chinese restaurant in our town. Mm-hmm. I knit all the time, right? And we know him very well. We're in there a lot. We talk, and so I guess at one point in time I said, hey, I'll make you as hat. And then I never did. And so someday this is going to be called the takeout hat. And it's going to be like a kind of, it's going to have neat decreases. In theory, it's going to have really cool decreases, but it's going to be an easy, like, oh, hey, you're waiting to do something, you can take it out of your bag and work on it. Thus
Right.
the takeout hat.
There you go.
Like, you know, I knit it while I'm waiting to get my Chinese takeout. But yeah, I'm working on this and it's getting boring. And my husband won't put it on his head. My husband has a very small head. The guy making it for has a very small head. I'm like, would you please put it on your head? He will not do it for some reason. Sometimes he gets all these, sometimes he annoys me. So
Gotta tackle him. Well,
anyway.
it's like my one Hong Kong scarf pattern. And I had my brother take pictures for the scarf, and I'm just like, put on a nice coat, put the scarf on. I just want to take a couple pictures for the intro thing. And I practically had to wrestle that man. I'm just like, look, just be a bro. Just be a bro. Just take a couple of pictures. They'll be nice. They'll be 5 minutes. Just do it. Like, no.
It's so annoying. But yeah, I don't even want to take a picture of him. I just literally want to see how it's looking. I'll make
Right.
sure that like my math is right so that I don't finish the hat and find out it's too small or way too big or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's killing me, man. So that is what I have for knitting. And yeah, I think stay tuned. Anne and I are going to start talking about this stuff more, what we're going to do. So it's going to happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
If I let Anne be in charge of it, it will happen. Not ever, but.
Hey.
Oh, and before
While
I
that's
forget,
accurate. Hey.
before I forget, see this box? See this box full of pom-poms? Sweet Mountain Crafts, my girl came through for me, made me a whole bunch of pom-poms because I needed some. So there you go. I got that this week. That was fun.
It's fun.
And then on to politics, Anne.
I know you have a lot of news this week from the
Right?
state of New York.
Who am I? Well, it's because it's a lot of it's happening in New York. New York has all of a sudden in the past week gotten like terrifying. Like in New York City, it's vaccine passports. It's you can't go into places if you don't have proof. You can't go into restaurants. I think it's like restaurants, bars, you know, clubs or like any place. And that started on the 3rd, and I don't know, man.
You know, and just to, you know, all of the people who were so excited, Biden was elected, man, we overthrew a tyrant. Also, you can't eat a burger in public without showing your papers. What a lovely world.
So a while ago, I was talking to someone and they were like, why don't you want to get the vaccine? Like, explain to me, not like in a mad way, just like explain to me why you don't want to. And I said, it's actually for me, it's not about the vaccine one way or another. It's about this. I said, it's going to turn into a show me your papers. How do you think it started with the Jews in Nazi Germany? And the person I was talking to was kind of like, okay, like you could tell they thought I was nuts.
Right.
And I posted the meme to Instagram. I'll put it up here too, but it's, you know, it started off with yellow stars and show me your papers. And now here we are with show me your papers. Like that was a huge reason for me personally that I didn't want to get involved in it, because that's tyranny. That's not what our country is about.
Right. And even there's a lot of people out there who are like, no, we absolutely should not have vaccine passports. And then they got the vaccine. Okay, again, it's your medical choice. That is entirely your medical choice. But look, I already know people who are like, yeah, no vaccine passports. That's terrible. And, you know, well, if the gym says that they need to show a vaccine card, well, I have one of those. And I'm like,
no,
are you going to use it?
No, I think that we're getting to the point of civil disobedience, and I know that that's like scary to people, but what's gonna make this change? Go with your unmasked, unvaccinated self and sit in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And have all your friends who are unvaccinated and unmasked come, because it's a lot harder to deal with 40 of you than it is to deal with 2. Like,
and even talking this week, I believe both Walmart and Disney World said vaccines or you're out by October. I'd have to check that. But I was talking to somebody, and talking to people, and they're conservative, but they did get the vaccine, and they're like, oh well, then a lot of people will quit then. I'm like, no, Rosa Parks this. Like, make them fire you and get it in writing. Get it in writing, the reason they fired you, even if it's not a corporation, if whatever job. If you're going to be fired over a vaccine, make them write it down that they fired you over a vaccine, and then fight it.
Right.
And, that it's like, no, you're, like I said, make them do the full work. Like, make them throw you out, basically. And not that, yeah, it's crazy. I was going to
really disturbing.
It is. And sorry, while I was looking down, I wanted to find this story. It's 4 young female employees of a New York court office, all opposed to the vaccine. And the explanation they gave is that they want kids. They organized and told their supervisor that they will all walk out the job if the vaccine is mandated. The office cannot run without them. Result, the office is not mandating the shot.
Mm-hmm. And,
things like that are incredibly important. I've heard people say like, oh, well, if I stand up, it's a liberal office and there's nobody to stand up with me. And A, someone has to do it, which sucks, totally sucks. I get that. But B, you never know who else is going to stand up unless you say something.
Yeah, it's hard to be the one, but if what's going to happen if these places start saying you can't come in without a vaccine passport and stuff, is I'm not going to spend my money there, and I'm probably not going to be the only one, or my husband will probably lose his mind, but if there's a organized protest going down to my Walmart and everybody who's not vaccinated is going to go in, yeah, I might drop the kids off at grandma's house and go have a little excursion. I mean, because it's got to get done.
Yeah.
It really does. Because they are doing things that they know aren't legal, and they don't care. Probably something that everybody missed this week, because I barely heard about it, is this woman named Rochelle Walensky, who happens to be in charge of the CDC. Now, we've never heard of her until, January, because Biden put her in. But she said she mandated, or I hate that freaking word. There's no such thing as a mandate. That's just something they made up to take rights and make it sound official. Okay. But she said that people who are renting cannot be evicted. Okay. And she signed a fancy thing and made it look like she was signing a law or something. But she's not an elected official and she can't make laws. Okay.
Right.
But so renters can't be evicted. Owners still have to pay mortgages and cannot get rid of these renters that aren't paying them, which is devastating to them. It's a way to get rid of the middle class people. They're publicizing our housing by saying this. It's not your house anymore. What is going to change it from her telling me to put somebody in my personal house? This is not legal at all. And the Supreme Court ruled that the CDC cannot do this, and nobody is saying anything. Where are the people who are, why are they letting this happen? Where are our Republican people that are saying, the Supreme Court said no? This whole thing.
Yeah. And even, I mean, in the Constitution, we have different constitutional Bill of Rights, constitutional amendments, the ones that you don't look at anymore, that the ones of, oh, well, that's silly. Oh, well, you can't garrison soldiers in your house. Well, that's ridiculous. Who does that? It's like, well, you can't, room and board people who don't pay. The government can't make you do that. Oh, that would be that would be the same principle as you can't garrison soldiers in your house. Like, what's the
right? But how? So they know it's illegal though. They know it. Biden admitted that he knew it and that he's working with constitutional scholars to see if there's any way around this Supreme Court thing. Why? Why is he working around the Supreme Court? That's not his job. There's a reason we have the Supreme Court. It's so that he doesn't lose his freaking mind and try to tell everybody what to do, which is what he's doing.
Right. The balance of powers between the government and, something crazy like that. But,
sorry, but Maxine Waters also tweeted, who's going to stop this?
Yeah.
I think we need to, if nobody else is gonna.
Anyways, that there's we live in a society of laws, but then again, do we? That there's a difference between like, okay, so we have these rules and there's the rules that we have and then the rules that we act if we have. And in the middle of that, effectively, it doesn't matter. Like if you say I am a free citizen of a free nation, freeborn, and yet nobody is allowed to act like it, effectively, it isn't true.
Right.
That I am a free citizen with rights. I have freedom of movement. Well, do we?
No.
Do we? Freedom of expression? No.
Tweet something they don't like. See how much you can express anything.
Exactly. One of my favorites, right to a speedy and just trial. How long has that been? And that we have all of these different issues, and it's something that that sort of liberal politicians, liberal activists, everything, that they are very good at acting as if what they want to enact has happened already. That, well, I want this to be so I'm acting in this direction in this way, and that pushes the sort of narrative of it. If I want to live in a world where free healthcare I consider to be a universal human right, then go walk around saying it and acting as if it is so and promoting it, and that sort of a thing, that they're fully pointed in the direction. And conservatives are sitting there, it's like we're the sad, sensible child with the Christmas wish list, that the Democrats are the kids who are just like, I want the Monster Mansion toy palace, and they ask, and it's ridiculously expensive, and they ask for it every year, and they might get it because they keep asking. And the conservatives are just over here going like, oh well, I'll just do, like, they ask for the small toys because that's their reasonable expectations. Like, no, you gotta think big. You gotta go big with this.
Yeah. But you're right. They do. So my dad is a vendor. He goes into a lot of different stores. He got vaccinated, his choice, but he was really angry this week because Walgreens sent out a thing saying that if you are vaccinated, you still have to wear a mask. They're going back to mask mandates for all vendors. And he was ticked. And I'm like, but why? They have been telling you for like the past month that they were going to do this. They've been talking about, the Delta variant is so scary, blah, blah. So I don't know why you're surprised that they finally said you have to wear a mask when you come into the store. Like, I get it. It's ridiculous. And they said if you got the vaccine, you wouldn't have to, but they tell you, like you said, they manifest it. They tell you it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right. And, man, it's like these people, all of the health recommendations so far have always changed the goalposts and shifted. And, it's only 2 weeks. It's a month. It's several months. You'll be open Easter. You'll be open Christmas. You'll be open. No, it's like in England when they're like, Freedom Day. And on Freedom Day, they announce vaccine passports, like the, at what point did you think that they were actually going to let you go off and do what you want? At what point is that really?
They're not going to. That's the thing. It's all about power and control. And until people start like,
right,
not giving us a seat on the bus or whatever they got to do, they're not going to listen.
at what point do people who have unprecedented power and control are just going to walk away from that one? Like show me those human nature case studies. They're few and far between.
But I want to know where our people are. Where are our elected officials that are supposed to be listening to us? Like Rand Paul today was talking about how it's been shown that if you have had COVID, your antibodies are way stronger than the vaccine, but they're still saying that people who had who had COVID should get the vaccine. Like, what part of science, where does that make any sense? Like, yeah, so he said it, but what is he doing about it? Why aren't they need to start making a fuss. Like the whole thing with the CDC that I mentioned about the eviction thing. You know why nobody's talking about it? Because Nancy Pelosi won't bring it up because she doesn't have to bring it up because she's in charge. That's not right. This is not how this is supposed to work. But
yeah, well, to give Rand Paul props, that he's been bringing up a lot of things that no one else has been mentioning.
He's been bringing it up, but
I mean, definitely.
Then again, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to lead a sit-in in Nancy Pelosi's office because without your mask on? Like do you know what I mean? Something has to be.
Again, as unprecedented power has been exercised over the citizens, you know, the last person to lead a sit-in in Nancy Pelosi's office got solitary confinement without trial for a simple trespassing charge.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think if it was Rand Paul, not that we don't care about those other people, but I'm thinking it would be harder to just put him away in solitary confinement without any sort of trial. Do you know what I mean?
One would hope.
In theory, but with the way things are going, that's not. So this leads perfectly into the next part of
you know, watching Lawrence Fox on InfoWars, which is hilarious. But anyways, that they were talking about that in England, the vaccine is now approved, large quotes, for 16-year-olds. And no, your parents don't need to know. And there's no parental consent. And it's like, you know, what does a 16-year-old know about their own health? And the parents are sitting there like, don't do this. Oh, well, but the social media influencer says everything's okay. And
yeah,
it's just, again, experimental medication on children. And like we said, young people have an incredibly low risk of harm from this disease, and you have a much higher risk of getting something from, again, the experimental medical treatment.
Right. The heart inflammation that a lot of, especially boys, are getting from the shot. 12 to 17-year-old boys are getting lots and lots of heart issues, like, you know. But it's just your parents don't need to know, this nanny state, but yeah, all of the shutting down and stuff, they can't do it if we don't let them. Mm-hmm. Like, people are like, oh, the first time around, okay, wear a mask, do this, do that, stop the spread, blah, blah. Actually, something really interesting, the friend that we had a play date with, the mom is from Zambia. And so her family still lives there. And she was talking to them, and they hadn't had a lot of COVID there. And now all of a sudden there's a huge spike in it. And guess what she told me is going on right now? You want to guess?
Vaccination?
Elections.
Oh.
Their elections are going on, and all of a sudden their cases have just skyrocketed.
Oh.
Isn't that strange?
That is quite bizarre.
And she knows somebody who was in, I cannot remember, another African country. I cannot remember which one she said. But she said that there were absolutely no cases there. Mm-hmm. So how is it rampant in this one African country and absolutely not one single case in it seems suspect to me. It really does. And the other thing, my husband and I have been talking about it because My husband is a science guy. That's what he went to school for. He's very, that's how his mind thinks, very scientific, very by the numbers, very, so he has a tendency to believe more of the stuff than I do, where I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of on the skeptical side. But he and I were talking, he goes, well, the Delta variant seems to be, pretty transmissible and this and that. And I'm like, I think we need to look into more data on it, for one, because that's how he operates. He said, but put it into perspective. If they had a ticker that ran on how many people had the flu and were hospitalized and died, or got cancer and were hospitalized and died, or car accidents, like, you would never leave your house if they ran it on a ticker the way they do. And the thing about propaganda is that it's not necessarily, it's not even about control. It's about demoralizing you. You see that all the time and you're like, oh, everything is so hopeless. Everything is so, and it makes you feel bad. So therefore you're easier to manipulate.
Right.
So that's what I know about that, man.
Oh, it's totally true. Free and happy people and people with a high level of, no, are not the people that are easy to shunt around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not saying my husband is, he's just very scientific minded, so he needs more information, which is fine. But right. When you watch straight up news, and we stopped watching Fox and stuff, so now he watches our local news, and they're like, oh no, 100 people were hospitalized yesterday. And I'm like, that's not that many, honestly. I mean, 100 people, not great, but it's not terrible. We live in a county with like 200,000 people, so
right,
like, it's the whole state of South Dakota in my county, so whatever.
I know. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And then, I mean, just to mention it in passing, Australia with only a handful of cases, and who knew the lucky country would be so bad that, between $500 fines for not wearing a mask. There was one I saw, it was a man, and he was walking, I believe, in the botanical gardens in Melbourne, and he was an older guy, and I don't know if it was his wife, but there was another lady with him, and he had a medical exemption. There were seven cops to get this old guy, and they arrested him. They cuffed him because they were afraid he'd be belligerent. He said, no, I have a medical exemption. No, call my doctor. And the lady who was filming is like, well, you can call his boss at work. No, I don't believe you. He had a seizure right there in cuffs. She had his medication. They would not allow her to give him the medication because he was now in police custody. So they're not allowed to give medication. She, who was holding the medication for him, cannot give it. They had to wait until the ambulances came. And again, how wonderful and brave of you to cuff a man, and cuff an elderly man walking in the park for not wearing a mask. Wow, you're really saving the world from that COVID right there. You're really helping out.
I don't know. I don't know how people can think this is okay.
I know. And billy clubs for men, women, and children in the street, the helicopters on the beach saying that you have to leave. Again, not to always hark back to World War II, but the war for you is over as the pamphlets flutter down. Like, at what point did they think this was a good idea? They're the good guys, these helicopter people. They're really saving the world.
I don't know, man. I don't have anything nice to say about it.
No.
I think that civil disobedience is the way to go. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything else.
It's good to harken back to our country's founding, but I mean that our freedoms are not granted to us by government. Our freedoms are what we have intrinsically. And while the American Constitution lays them out, and that basic, freedom of speech, freedom to defend yourself, and everything down the line, that these are not freedoms that human beings only have because of where they live. That, again, that our Constitution was, everybody has these freedoms by God. These are given everyone. So it's like, well, you're not allowed to say that. It's like, intrinsically, as a human being, I have this right.
Right. But you said that they are granted to us by God. And when you have a society that has removed God and put science at the forefront, well, right, then they can take them. I saw the most disgusting thing. So I'm a big Dave Matthews band. And in I'm in a conservative Dave Matthews band group. But somebody
I love how the ideological segregation even goes to the Dave.
It goes everywhere. Well, because people in the band, like Dave is really liberal, but the saxophone player, I think he is like insanely awful. Ooh. Like he is horrifyingly bad.
Wow.
So that's part of why he is like every propaganda line you've ever heard, he parrots, and it's just really, really awful. And he talks about how he like hates conservatives. And so it has made a big,
just to throw in a little something, that Tal Bachman, the son of Randy Bachman, but Tal Bachman did he was kind of a one-hit wonder guy. He did the, She's So High song that was big in the 90s. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, he's like an ultra conservative, and he and his dad do a little podcast thingy, and he writes on Stein's website every once in a while. Anyways, just in case you needed a conservative rock star to.
Yeah. No. Well, my brother and I are supposed to be going to a show in 2 weeks, and with the way everything's happening, I'm not sure that it's going to happen. I was looking for the specific post. I didn't mean to go here for this episode, but now that I am,
might as well.
Okay. So this was posted in a Dave Matthews Band group, but it is called A Pandemic Tour Prayer. Dave has taken more pictures with people than Olin Mills this tour, and I am praying all approaching are as safe as possible. Dear sweet gods of Pfizer, please surround David in love, light, and loads of antibodies. Help him keep a sound body and mind so he can make the smartest decisions. Perhaps surround him in a cloak of invisibility and shield him from the COVIDs, all strains, and help the unvaccinated keep their distance. Please keep him safe and healthy. We love him so. But we need to be reminded, he's simply a human that can get sick, and he has a hard time saying no. So please see him and the rest of the band and us safely through this tour. In Fauci's name, amen. And so the problem with our world right now is that is something that people are doing, and the God that we actually should be praying to. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Dave Matthews is but a man, but Fauci is indeed divine. To Pfizer, praying to Pfizer, the company where we shovel all of our government money to, and then they find needs for it more and more every day. You know that one? But we are but men. We are just poor and weak and could not possibly survive without the silent F. Or silent P, I guess. See? And fallible as I am. This is
almost in one of the Dave Matthews Band's groups. Like, is that not the craziest thing you've ever seen? But this is what's happening to our world. They have taken God and replaced it with science and vaccines, and they don't believe in immunity. They don't believe in
No, the morality of science, the morality of hospitals. Oh, and again, to bring up England though, where the NHS has the Church of England has NHS altar cloths. Okay.
What?
Nah. Oh, it gets worse because the NHS has pandemic protocols, don't you know, for the nursing homes. So it's a do not resuscitate order on people over 70. You know how we're supposed to save grandma by staying home?
Do not resuscitate. Why?
Because
70
it's
is
a
not old.
pandemic, you know, let the old people die so the young can survive. Except, no, the opposite of that, because grandma, you got to save grandma and you got to vaccinate and you got to stay home and you got to let your business die. And if your teenage son commits suicide, well, I guess that's just a bummer, but you got to do your part. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
it's when the state controls your health, you're an individual and you are sovereign in control of your own body. And in the ways in which the state do control you are certain things like you can't murder other people. It's bad. You have other various controls of that. When the state owns your health, they own your body. And that is even, and again, when we, in the olden days of New York, Nanny Bloomberg, who said the state says you can't have all of the soda you want, we got to tax that because I know what's better for you than you. It's a whole scale of horrible things. I decide that the state, your betters, decide what is better for your body than you. And if you say, like we said, like we have now, that everybody must take the same medical treatments, and it doesn't matter if you say that I disagree with that, you know, that I don't think that's in the best interest of my health. I'm often allergic to treatments like this and I'm afraid of a bad reaction. No. And this is,
wow.
like I said, these are the stakes. These have been the stakes for a while, but as these things go, you know, gradually, then all at once, where it all seems to compound now. And where did this come from? And it's been growing. But, you know, this is totally separate, but I remember being a teenager and I guess late teenager, and Obama was president, and it was all about Obamacare. And they were talking about how inhalers are bad for the ozone layer. And which is something that eventually didn't seem to come to anything, but I'm sitting there like, again, the intersectionality of stupidity, that I was sitting there and it was like, people, it's like, how this stupidity works is that people will ban what is actually good for people's health, people who can't breathe and need medication, but that won't matter because of the whatever's going on with environmentalism. And which, again, that didn't seem to come to anything, but the logic is still there. And that you have people who want to push a political agenda even at the expense of people's actual health in the name of, again, fictional health. That, you know, masks are not scientific, people. And yeah, that it's, I don't know, it's a lot of it sounds so wild, but I don't know. It's the abused woman who comes out and says, hey, this is horrible. And you're all like, oh, what do you know? You've never said anything about this before. Like when it first comes out, it's like, it's visceral and difficult to describe, but it's, oh gosh, it's bad.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And they want to nationalize our healthcare. Well, this is what's going to happen if they nationalize. They're going to be able to say who gets what. They're going to be able to decide if your life is worthwhile enough to get the treatment you may need to live.
Right.
And so if that's where you want to be, maybe just go to one of the countries that already do it. Like, we don't have to do it here.
I know. And I mean, there's people, and the argument is, well, the insurance companies decide who lives and who dies, because if they're going to pay for treatments or not. And it's just like, but you got a chance, people. And I also agree that insurance schemes have made the price of medication and everything skyrocket, which was another excellent thing that Trump did, you know, knock, make sure that Americans aren't paying more for medical treatments than the rest of the world. And then Biden swiped that one out too. So
yeah, well,
what a compassionate man.
I am. I think I'm done with this conversation, honestly, because I don't have anything else that's gonna be appropriate for our show.
Right? I'm sorry.
No,
I didn't think you had heard of the NHS thing before, so I didn't want to.
No.
I didn't mean to spring the NHS thing, but no, I heard about it. It was Mark Stein's Monday notebook that he's like, and this was released, and I'm like, oh, gosh, Mark, thanks for punching me first thing in the week.
Need that. Right? Freaking, I like, it's getting to the point where I had stopped watching the news and now I've started again, and I don't know what we're gonna do. But part of the reason I've been watching the news is the last thing I wanted to talk about this episode.
Right.
Because we haven't talked about it yet. My buddy, no, not my buddy, but our illustrious leader in the state of New York, Mr. Cuomo. So the Attorney General came out with the report, and they found that he did harass, I think 11 people, 11 staff members, a state trooper, and that he actually retaliated against one of the women by releasing her personnel file.
Wow.
Yeah. And Cuomo had made a edict of some sort that everybody in the state government had to complete sexual harassment training once a year, to stay up on it. He himself has not completed it since 2013, so there's that.
Well, he's such a nice liberal guy. I doubt he'd need it, surely.
And in 2013, on May 17th of 2013, Governor Cuomo tweeted that there should be a zero tolerance policy when it comes to sexual harassment and must send a clear message that this behavior is not tolerated. So apparently in 2013, Cuomo was like on the no harassment bandwagon. Like he totally was, Me Too movement, believe the women. But now, he is absolutely refusing to resign. He's been hiding actually since the report came out. He released a taped statement, but people haven't seen him since it came out. And even when asked about it, even Biden said that he should resign. But people are calling for him to resign. High level Democrats, Republicans, they're saying that he shouldn't be able to be governor anymore. And I think I heard this morning, I'm not completely certain, but I think that they're talking about starting impeachment proceedings against him.
I hope so.
But then again, like my husband said, he goes, what's it going to do for us? We're just going to get somebody that's probably worse. Which is true. But
well, it is true. And also, again, all of this is to save grandma, unless Cuomo is concerned. All of this is Me Too, support woman. Yeah, unless it's a Democrat grabbing her rear.
Exactly. And it's funny that there's speculation that I've heard that he is being persecuted really hard for this, or prosecuted really hard for this, because if the nursing home stuff were to come out as true, it would implicate him, but it wouldn't just implicate him. It would also implicate a lot of other governors. So by making this into a big fuss, it's taking that away, and that kind of saves a lot of people. So, I mean, he's the fall guy because they don't want to deal with the nursing home thing.
Yeah, I mean, Governor Face Like an Axe Whitmer, she still hasn't done the Freedom of Information request on the amount of people who died in her nursing homes. And in
New Jersey was another state where they had issues, right? And I don't know, man. But I can't believe he retaliated by releasing somebody's file. Like, you gotta maintain some like plausible deniability stuff. That's a pretty like.
Well, I
Hey,
still can't
hey,
believe
here's your
that.
file.
I still can't believe that he said that, well, you know, him being handsy is a cultural thing. He's Italian. I'm like,
Italian.
Mhm.
I grew up in a nice Italian household. There's a lot of like shouting over each other and talking with their hands. Like we'll leave a family event. My husband will be like, my head hurts. And I'll be like, oh, you're just not used to it. But, and to an
did
extent,
any of the talking with your hands include grabbing anyone else at any time by the breast?
no, but what I was going to say is, I mean, there are extra hugs, like we're very huggy and stuff, but and it's family, so I guess maybe they do that to other people. I don't know for sure, but
Good survey. So not to be weird, but any butt grabs lately? I just
no, not on my head. But my point is that I think like I get what he's trying to say, which is Italian, you know, it's very close on each other. My husband is like very like English European kind of, and so he comes in and my family's all like, eat more food, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. So yeah, there is a difference there even after generations of living in the US, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't involve grabbing people's asses or other body parts while they're saying hello, or you know.
Yeah. And again, in Governor Cuomo's case, consistent. Was not an accident.
Yeah, no. Like probably if you did it once or twice, you could chalk that up to like a oops, it happened. It wasn't a, you know, but don't know, man.
Yeah, there's a difference from accidentally brushing you on the way by and no, that's not what happened. No.
And no.
Yeah.
No, that's too funny. No, I think he's grasping at straws and it's gonna all come out, but not that the sexual harassment is not important, but I wonder why they're going after it so hard when there's many other things we could be going after him for. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, dead grandparents. That's bigger. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. That's what I know about Cuomo. I will bring you the latest when I hear more.
Oh,
but
and I almost forgot. Should have been attached to the knitting news segment. We got an email from a lady. Her organization is Hats for Sailors. And so if anyone is, and what they do is they have ships that they're assigned to, and then they make a hat for everyone on the ship. They've done hundreds of hats before, but now they need a couple thousand hats by September. So if anyone is interested in helping them, or if you have one of those cool little Addy knitting machines, and we'll put the link below and you can help them out for our lovely lads and lasses of the Navy. There's different requirements and there's different simple knitting patterns that they have on their website. But if anyone is interested, they'd be very grateful of your help.
Well, cool. So we'll add that link and make sure you comment and like and subscribe because we certainly talked about a lot today. So tell us what you think.
We did.
Yeah, make sure you check us out on all the other platforms under Pinkava and Deplorable Knitter. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Like, comment, subscribe. See you then.
All right. Bye, guys.